In this video, I go over my interview with Rush Limbaugh. I ask him some questions about heaven and what God's like. So I'm going to get into there. First part of it, he talks about Reagan and everything, goes right into that. I'm going to skip that part, but if you want to read it, I'll have the link below to the blog post. And I'm going to read his response of what God is like. I said, have you met God yet? Scott, my friend, that's the big one, isn't it? The question everybody wants to know. Have I met God? And what is he like? Well, let me tell you, Scott, I knew from the moment I got here that this was going to be the interview of a lifetime. And let me say, it did not disappoint. Imagine this. You've spent your entire life thinking, reasoning, studying, debating, defending the truth, and then boom, suddenly you're face to face with the source of all truth. Now, I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of great minds, but this was something different, something else entirely. The presence of the presence of God, Scott, is indescribable. Not in some mystical, floaty, new age kind of way, but in a real, undeniable, overwhelming way. It's clarity, it's power, it's love, but most of all, Scott, it's justice. Absolute, unwavering, perfect justice. The kind that makes all of the nonsense we argue about on earth seem small in comparison. Now, here's the part that's going to shock a lot of people. God isn't just love in that soft, sentimental way that modern culture likes to paint him. No, Scott. He is righteousness. He is truth. He is order. This isn't some passive, tolerant, feel-good deity that lets everything slide because love wins. No, this is a God of justice, a God who means what he says. And let me tell you, Scott, standing before him, you don't argue, you don't negotiate, and you certainly don't spin. You just know. You see reality as it truly is, and that, my friend, is the most humbling experience you can imagine. Of course, you know I had questions. I mean, come on. I've spent my whole life analyzing the world, breaking things down, figuring out what's going on behind the scenes, and so I had to ask, Lord, how do we let things get this bad? And you know what I got? Free will. Rush. I gave humanity free will. And that, Scott, is what so many people don't understand. God isn't running the world like a dictator. He laid down the foundations, the laws, the principles, and then he gave us the power to choose. And that means we can do great things. We can build, we can create, we can love, we can stand for truth, but it also means we can destroy, deceive, and reject everything he offers. And that's why we are where we are. Now, Scott, let's get real for a second, because I know people listening right now are thinking, all right, Rush, what about heaven and hell? Well, let me put it this way. God doesn't send people anywhere. People choose where they belong. If you spend your whole life rejecting truth, running from responsibility, blaming everyone else for your problems, and living as though you are the ultimate authority, well, Scott, let's just say you're not going to enjoy the presence of God, who is nothing but truth and justice. But here's the good news, Scott. God isn't some distant, unreachable force. He's here. He's always been here. And what does he want? Not perfection, not impossible holiness. He wants honesty. He wants people who are seeking truth, who are willing to take responsibility, who are not afraid to stand up for what is right. And let me tell you, Scott, after meeting him, I can say with absolute certainty, every battle I fought for truth, every stand I took for freedom, every time I pushed back against the lies of the left, it mattered. It counts. The fight for truth is eternal, and the people who are willing to fight it, they're on the right side of history. So, Scott, to answer your question, yes, I've met him. And what is he like? Everything we always knew he was, only clearer, stronger, and more real than ever imagined. All right, Scott, what's next? Because I could talk about this forever. No pun intended. Okay, did you meet Reagan before you met God? If so, why? I love the way you think because that's exactly the kind of hard hitting question I'd ask too. So, why did I go to Reagan first instead of straight to God? Well, Scott, let's just say it wasn't exactly up to me. Now, don't get me wrong. When I skipped the Reagan part, but he talked about that. So, this is kind of a callback to that. Now, don't get me wrong. When I got here, I felt the presence of God immediately, and you can't miss it. It's like knowing the sun is shining even if you're in the shade, and you know it's there. And the way things work, but the way things work up here, well, there's an order to it. You don't just storm into the throne room like you own the place. And trust me, Scott, as much as I love to talk, I knew when my moment with God came, it wasn't going to be me running the conversation. It was going to be him. But Reagan was there, Scott. He was waiting for me. And the moment I saw him, I thought, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be good. Because you have to understand, Scott, Reagan was the guy who shaped so much of the conservative movement as we know it. And let's be honest, he had a few things to say about what's happening since he left. Now, was I seeking Reagan first? No, but was I excited to talk to him? You bet. And Scott, let me tell you, he's still the same Reagan. The warmth, the optimism, the unwavering belief in America, it's still there. And I think that was part of the reason I saw him first before I faced the big conversation, the one that would lay my whole life in perfect clarity. Maybe I need a moment with someone who embodied what I fought for down here on earth. Reagan was a reminder that the fight for truth and freedom mattered. So he's very long-winded on here. And I'm exhausted. I want to get to something else. Yeah, so that's it. Pretty interesting theology or whatever. It seems like it would be Rush Limbaugh's opinion, but that's what God's like up there in heaven, according to Rush Limbaugh, according to ChatGPT's version of Rush Limbaugh.